we spent a lot of time over the last few days dealing with a lot of people online and on cable TV on the left saying Donald Trump was either really sick or perhaps dead. Yes, I said dead. Donald Trump is no more dead, I'm here to report, according to multiple sources, than Beatle Paul McCartney was in 1969. Explain that. Just when we thought we'd seen it all in terms of the various manifestations of the frustrations of people in this country who don't like Donald Trump and how that expresses itself, over the last week, we got this thing. Incredible to me. Hashtags all over Twitter, where is Trump? Or hashtag Trump is dead. My inbox, texts and emails from serious people on the left asking me if Donald Trump had died because he wasn't doing public events in the last week of August. All of this got me thinking about the historical precedent that's so resonant for me from 1969, the pre-internet age, when the famous Paul is dead rumor spread. For some reason, Beatles fans and others got in their head the notion that Paul McCartney had died and been replaced by some sort of double, or that the Beatles were putting out old music to convince people with a conspiracy that he was dead. Back then, pre-internet, pre-digital, all this was spread by college papers, late night DJs, and teens spinning their vinyl records backward, looking for secret clues to what they claimed was the death of Paul McCartney. It was like a national scavenger hunt. The various clues were decoded by people pretty much already convinced, looking at Beatles lyrics and album covers, that Paul McCartney had died. He didn't die, spoiler alert. All right, some of you know exactly what I'm talking about, the whole Paul is dead thing. But for those of you not familiar with this extraordinary event that had echoes with Donald Trump this past week, here is an ABC News report on it from 1969.
Big mystery surrounding one of her most famous subjects, Beatle Paul McCartney. A rumor that he is dead has been stoutly denied by several people, including Paul. There was even one report that McCartney was killed 3 years ago in an auto accident and a double put in his place. For a report on how it all got started, here is ABC's Gregory Jackson.
As any parent can testify, the lifestyle of the Beatles has always been somewhat different. And if you believe current rumor, their style of revealing Paul McCartney's alleged death is being carried out with singular taste. Like reading tea leaves, all clues are in the album. For example, in this one, McCartney's guitar, covered with flowers, is resting on a grave. Inside the cover, McCartney's supposed look-alike is wearing an armband with the letters OPD, which in England means officially pronounced dead. On the flip side of the record jacket, Paul is the only one standing with his back to the camera. On another album, the Beatles sleuths noticed that McCartney's double is sitting above a sign which reads, I was you. And in another picture, 3 of the Beatles wear a red rose, while McCartney wears a black rose. And on their latest album, we see the 4 Beatles walking away from a cemetery, one dressed as a gravedigger, the others in mourning, and Paul wearing black and barefooted as corpses are prepared in Italy. And that's only a sampling. Other clues are said to be found by playing the records at different speeds or even backwards, and there is a degree of truth to it. For example, in the song I Am a Walrus, we played it here on this record and taped the play, and then ran the tape backwards. And if you listen closely, you can hear someone saying over and over, Paul is dead. In London, Paul McCartney has been vehemently denying his death. Here in New York, the city's largest record store said today that the Beatles' latest album cost about $2 more than the past albums. And he said they haven't been selling very well, at least up to now, before the rumors started. This is Gregory Jackson, ABC News, New York.
I love the whole tone of that. I love that that guy basically was saying how ridiculous it was without saying it. But that catalog of items suggesting Paul McCartney had died was like virtual proof compared to what we've seen this week with Donald Trump. There were other things that morbid fans seized on about McCartney. The Abbey Road album cover mentioned in that ABC report has another alleged sign that Paul was dead. The license plate on the Volkswagen Beetle in the background reads LMW 28 if, which some claim meant Paul would be 28 if he were alive. And the letters LMW were spun to mean Linda McCartney weeps. Again, all of this pre-internet. Imagine if the internet had been around then. Also in the Sgt. Pepper image referenced in the ABC report, fans held up a mirror to the Lonely Hearts drum and claimed that if you held up the mirror, it read 1-9. He died, interpreted as October 9th or November 9th, Paul's death date in British order. They looked at lyrics. He blew his mind out in a car from A Day in the Life. John Lennon's mumbled tag on Strawberry Fields Forever, where he says cranberry sauce, was interpreted as I buried Paul. All right. All of that, as I say, practically proof that Paul was dead compared to what the left seized on in the last week to say that Donald Trump was dead or dying. That modern echo parlor game was amplified, unlike in 1969, by the speed of broadband, right? Dorm room conversations move slower, spread less far than threads on X. You've got push alerts now compared to back then payphones, and cable news panels around the clock, a lot more viral and spread more widely than local radio call-in shows. The medium, all of this technology has accelerated the spread of such a thing and made it more intense, but the credulity and the hysteria exactly the same as in 1969. In this case, the conspiracy theories are about everything related to Donald Trump, especially Donald Trump, because there's so much anxiety on the left about how he's doing back in the White House. There's so many digital homes for people to go to and so much mainstream uptake. Again, this is not confined to the fringes, what we've seen. Serious journalists have been musing over the last week about Donald Trump being very sick or dead. There was a CNN panel I saw that volleyed the theory back and forth. Even a governor, the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, joked about the prospect that Donald Trump might be dead. Here is just some, believe me, we could run this thing for an hour. Here's just some of the speculation that was done about whether Donald Trump was sick or, as I said, dead. Roll S2, please.
Where's Donald Trump? How come we're not seeing him? Bottom line is he's clearly got some health issues. The lack of transparency on his health, what is going on? Why are both of his hands bruised? He's likely taking some medication.
It's really disconcerting. The president has been very vocal with press all the time. I think in August he spent 26 days doing public events or talking to press. So to go down for 6 days and just have a slew of True Social posts that are very chaotic and people can't follow all of them is very concerning. There could be actually something wrong. The problem is we don't know and they're not being transparent about it.
But it's also questions that are legitimate about what's going on with the president's health. These bruises that are on his hands that they now they keep saying are because he's shaking a lot of hands. Trump is a famous germaphobe. He doesn't shake a lot of hands.
The mainstream media will not touch these questions about Donald Trump's obviously declining health. His ankles are the size of watermelons. He can
like
barely...
Elephant. They're like elephant legs, you know?
They're like elephant legs.
Straight down.
He can barely walk down a flight of stairs.
Although I will say this, the last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. Just saying. There will be news sometime, just so you know, there will be news.
Now, all this occurred over the last week of the holiday season, ruined my time off to some extent because I was getting all these texts from people saying, is Trump dead? Is Trump on death's door? Finally, the spell was broken to a large extent when Trump, after Labor Day, came out and had a press availability in the White House. And Fox News' Peter Doocy said to the president, hey, did you know that people think you're dead? Roll S3.
Something completely different, but about a big viral social media trend over the weekend. How did you find out over the weekend that you were dead? You see that?
No.
People didn't see you for a couple days. 1.3 million user engagements as of Saturday morning about your demise.
Really? I didn't see that. You know, I have heard, it's sort of crazy, but last week I did numerous news conferences, all successful. They went very well, like this is going very well. And then I didn't do any for 2 days, and they said, there must be something wrong with him. Biden wouldn't do them for months. You wouldn't see him. And nobody ever said there was ever anything wrong with him, and we know he wasn't in the greatest of shape. No, I heard that. I get reports.
Around 2020, not that long ago, the American left pushed very hard into kids' books. They got all sorts of titles onto the bookshelves of schools, things like Activist Baby, Woke Baby, Anti-Racist Baby, Non-Binary Baby. You get the point. Well, our new sponsor thought if schools are doing that, they're doing the whole political kids' books thing, why shouldn't other topics, other concepts be included? So out of that came Capitalist Babies. Capitalist Baby is a fun, illustrated A to Z kids book. It's on sale now. Go to Amazon.com. Capitalist Baby, beautifully illustrated. It's a little tongue-in-cheek. A clever A to Z book for kids and parents who love business and capitalism. The best part is Capitalist Baby is optimistic. It celebrates the ideas of American entrepreneurship and business, and it's instructive without any preaching. Real business concepts are woven into the charming text and the illustrations. Capitalist Baby is your alternative to those leftist kids books that were so popular with some after 2020. You can buy Capitalist Baby now for yourself or your kids, grandkids. Give it as a gift. It's a delightful read that deserves a spot on your bookshelf. For the first time in human history, there's an A to Z alphabet book for people who believe in free enterprise, entrepreneurship, and commerce. Go now, buy a copy or maybe 3. Search Capitalist Baby on Amazon.com today.